oftentimes, being able to work in both businesses, for Peter and I, we have a perspective that's different from people who just work in one side or the other. The people who work in animation look at the theater and say, oh gosh, how easy. You don't have to redraw all that. Just write a new song and have them go sing it on Thursday. Which those of us who work in the theater know that's complete agony. You have to do orchestrations, you have automation cues, you have lighting. They have to have a costume. What set are they singing it on? When are they going to rehearse it? You don't get any time to rehearse. So there's that dilemma. But the animation guy says, oh, just redraw it. Or just you have to go do it. The theater people say, oh, you just draw it. That's simple. You just send it back in. You don't know this time. You just send it off and have it redrawn. But the process of making final animation is so time-consuming that when you're working up to a release date, you have to also figure out how to be efficient. So then you're making compromises. And the same kind of Band-Aids and baling wire tricks that we do to keep a piece of theater alive happens in animation. So when we look at the movie The Lion King, we're slapping our foreheads the whole time, saying, because all the Band-Aids to us show. We could not understand how fulfilling what appeared to be the Disney mandate for what should be done in the theater, how you could possibly do The Lion King and make it a credible experience that was emotional. Because the minute you locked the human spirit out of it, and you did some kind of costume that would do that, or the minute you took...
A literal translation.
Yeah, a literal translation. It was impossible to figure out how you would do that, how you would get the sensitivity of those characters, those animal characters, through it, and make that either, and make it special. We couldn't figure out how to do that.
My background in theater, I like epic theater. I like theater that normally isn't kitchen sink. I mean, and I've done a lot of Shakespeare, so the panorama is something that I'm not... In fact, I find to be quite a wonderful, challenging thing for the theater, because it means you must use the poetry and artistry of the theater to get to the essence. So it's not about translating the literal landscape onto stage, but finding a theatrical way to get to the essence, which is what you have to do when you're moving from film to theater. And quite the contrary, when I saw the movie, I love the idea of the stampede. I mean, yes, how do you do that? But I love the idea of having to create multiple numbers, a lot of what are these gigantic swoops of the camera. So we knew if it was going to be a two-act structure, we could then strengthen the places where the Band-Aids were bridging holes. And those areas we all agreed on. The collaborative process, I actually went off in one direction that Tom just adored for a moment. And, I was given tremendous freedom. The two of them, rather than saying, these are your limitations, you have to stay here, go for it. What do you think's missing? What is even missing in the story? Now, I may have gone off further than they knew, but they didn't know it until I'd done it.
Exactly. That's a key thing.
And therefore, my problem was I felt what they were worried about is how do you make this animal kingdom human on the stage, because you need to have that kind of, you need to have that connection with the human being. And I was worried myself in the beginning of how to do a whole show that was animals. We did a workshop. Our first workshop was a workshop that tested the book and the music, the majority of the music, and it was a sit-down like this, actor, singer, reading, which was absolutely fundamental to know whether this musical was going to work, because it's not about the visuals. It's about the book, the music, and the lyrics. And if that heart is there and we are moved and entertained by that event, then the next step, which make it spectacular theater or tells the story in a whole nother way, where you have you have a parallel story being told, and that some of this can't be told through language, but some of the storytelling is through imagery. That came as well, and we knew that was going to happen, but we needed to know that our heart was there. We knew that Elton and Tim would write 3 new songs, and I basically, as a director, I was given the freedom to actually say where the 15, so you got 5, now we need about 15 or 16. Where will these go? What songs where do we need new music? Which is the music that is really the Lebo world of music, which is music that isn't about necessarily character study, but it is larger about more spiritual or landscape, or like the lioness chant, we call it the lioness chant, and the grasslands that rise up.
Wonderful.
These are not Elton types of things.
The grass rising.
To me, the genius musically of this piece is that Elton and Lebo, because I say they're the 2 major musical forces, are not the Lion King soul. What makes it so great is this incredible merging of two talents. Two talents from two disparate sources that when they're put together create its own next unique sound. It's really a fantastic collaboration in that sense.